You wake up on January 1, 2025, a blank calendar, zero excuses. Now ask yourself, what would need to happen for your business to earn $1 million within just 12 months? They say the most important part of a conversation is what you say. That's a lie. The most important part of communication is not what you say. It's what they hear, because the difference between noise and impact lies not in your words. It lies in relevance. You want to build $1 million business in 2025. Then stop obsessing over what you're offering and start understanding who you're offering it to. You see, too many entrepreneurs build in a vacuum. They sit in their quiet rooms behind glowing screens, designing products they think are genius, services they believe are revolutionary, without ever listening. They forget that the marketplace doesn't care about what you're excited about. The marketplace rewards only one thing: value that solves pain. Here's the bitter truth most don't want to hear. You are not the hero of your business. Your customer is. You're the guide. You're the bridge. Your only job is to help them cross from frustration to freedom, from confusion to clarity, from stuck to scale. But to do that, you have to know them, not just demographically, not just their age or gender or income level. No, you need to know how they think, what keeps them up at night, what they're embarrassed to say out loud. You need to be so close to their truth that when you speak, they don't just hear you, they feel seen. The future belongs to the entrepreneur who listens louder than they speak, because attention is the new currency. And in a world full of distraction, the one who understands their audience wins by default. Why? Because when people feel understood, they trust you. And when they trust you, they buy from you. And when they buy again. That's not marketing, that's relationship. This is not some poetic metaphor. It's tactical, it's war room strategy. If you don't deeply, obsessively, consistently understand your audience, someone else will. And they'll take your customer, your revenue, and your future right out from under you. I've seen entrepreneurs pitch to rooms filled with potential investors and customers, talking only about their own story, their journey, their why. And the room is polite, but they're not sold. Because here's the truth. People don't care about your journey until they know you understand theirs. So, shift. Stop shouting into the void. Stop being louder. Start being clearer. Don't ask, how can I sell this? Ask, what are they already begging for? And how can I deliver it better than anyone else? That's how brands are built in 2025. Not with ads, not with followers, but with insight. You build empires by becoming a mirror to your audience. You speak what they're thinking before they even say it. And when you do that, they'll say things like, "It's like you were inside my head." That's not luck. That's mastery. That's proximity. That's obsession with the people you serve. Understand this. Success in 2025 will not come from innovation alone. It will come from empathy, the kind of empathy that goes deeper than likes and shares, the kind that studies behavior, listens to complaints, analyzes silence, and responds, not with ego, but with precision. Let me make this clear. Your product is not your business. Your customer is. And the only reason your product exists is to make their life better, faster, easier, more profitable, more peaceful, more meaningful. Period. Everything else is noise. So build your offers, your pitch decks, your landing pages, your content, not from your perspective, but from theirs. Speak their language, walk their walk, feel their pain, and when you deliver, do it in a way that leaves no doubt. This was built for me. That's the business that wins. That's the business that grows. That's the business that becomes impossible to ignore. Because when you put audience first, your message doesn't need to shout. It resonates, it cuts, it converts. And in 2025, relevance is louder than volume. Connection is more powerful than persuasion. Let me tell you something simple that most people overlook. Facts inform, but stories transform. You can bring charts, data, analytics, projections, but if your audience doesn't feel it, they won't move. They won't buy, they won't follow, and they definitely won't believe. You want to build $1 million business in 2025, then learn how to tell the right story to the right people at the right time. Not fairy tales, not fluff, real, Grounded stories that make your audience see themselves in your message, because people don't remember bullet points. They remember emotions. They remember moments. They remember that time you described a client who was struggling just like them, who almost gave up and then figured it out. They remember how you made them feel, not what you wanted them to know. There's a reason why storytelling has been the foundation of every great leader, every revolutionary brand, every movement that mattered. It bypasses logic and goes straight to the heart. It sticks. It spreads. And it sells. I've seen people walk into boardrooms with 10 slide presentations filled with numbers, strategies, forecasts, and lose the room. And I've seen someone walk in, share one powerful personal experience, and walk out with the deal signed. Why? Because numbers convince, but stories convert. You need to become a master of narrative if you want to win in 2025. And I'm not talking about manipulation. I'm talking about alignment. If your story aligns with the truth your audience is living, then suddenly your offer is not a pitch. It's a solution, it's a lifeline, but here's where most get it wrong. They tell stories about themselves. That's not the move. The hero of your story is not you. It's your customer. It's the person listening. Your job is not to shine. Your job is to show them how they can shine, how they can rise, how they can win. And when you craft your story, be real, be raw. Don't polish the pain. Don't skip the struggle. Nobody believes in overnight success because everyone's living through delayed results. If you want them to trust you, then show them the process, not just the product. Show them the climb, not just the view from the top. You see, the real story isn't that you built a 6-figure funnel. The real story is how you launched your first ad campaign and it flopped. How you burned through cash, got laughed out of rooms, doubted yourself, but kept going. That's what connects. That's what resonates. That's what builds trust. And let's get tactical. When you share a story, anchor it with emotion, set the scene, make it visual, let them hear the silence in the room. Let them feel the pressure, the fear, the uncertainty, because when you give them the texture, not just the timeline, they lean in, they care, they remember, then land it. Don't just drift. Tie the story back to the point. What's the lesson? What's the shift? What's the invitation? Great storytelling always ends with a call, not to action, but to ownership. You're not just telling a story to entertain. You're telling it to challenge, to confront, to awaken something in them. Because here's the truth. Your business is only as strong as your ability to communicate its purpose. And your purpose, when told right, becomes a story that moves people. And when people are moved, they move money, they move effort, they move culture. You want scale? Learn to tell stories that travel, stories that your customers can repeat, stories that make others say, "That's me. That's exactly where I am." That's when it stops being your story. It becomes theirs, and that's when you know you've built something bigger than a product. You've built a movement, so stop pitching, start storytelling, stop explaining, start connecting. Don't just talk about what you offer. Show me why it matters. And if you can do that not once, not occasionally, but consistently, then your voice won't just echo in the market. It will lead it. In 2025, persuasion belongs to the one who understands that logic makes people think, but story makes them act. And business isn't built on thinking. It's built on decisions. There's a moment in every conversation, every negotiation, every boardroom where the most powerful thing you can do is say absolutely nothing. No noise, no panic, just pause, breathe, hold the space, because silence, when used with intent, carries more weight than any word ever could. You see, most people are afraid of silence. They think it signals weakness. They rush to fill it, to justify themselves, to make noise just to feel relevant. But those who lead, they understand something deeper. Power doesn't beg to be heard. Power doesn't compete for attention. Power simply is. You want to build $1 million business in 2025, then master the art of stillness, learn when to speak and, more importantly, when not to. Because in a world that's constantly screaming, the one who speaks with clarity and knows when to pause is the one who commands attention. There's a reason the best public speakers pause before the punchline. It's not because they forgot what to say next. It's because they know that silence builds anticipation. It sharpens focus. It pulls the audience in. It forces them to lean forward, to listen with intent, to feel what's about to come. But here's where it gets real. Silence isn't just a speaking tactic. It's a mindset. It's the discipline to not react when provoked. It's the confidence to sit with discomfort. It's the self-control to allow your presence to speak before your mouth ever opens. That's a level of control that most never reach, because they've been taught that action is always loud. It's not, in high-stakes meetings, it's not the one who talks the most that wins. It's the one who listens best, the one who reads the room, the one who hears what wasn't said. And when they do speak, they don't waste words. They speak with accuracy, with weight, with purpose. Understand this. Silence is not the absence of power. It's the evidence of it. Only the insecure feel the need to constantly explain themselves. Only the unsure think that talking louder proves their value. The ones who have done the work, they don't shout, they don't overcompensate, they simply show up, speak once, and the room listens. Let's bring this closer. Think about how you handle pressure when your campaign flops, when your product fails, when the numbers don't lie and they're not in your favor. Do you panic? Do you ramble in meetings trying to make it sound better than it is? Or do you own the silence, face the moment, and let your posture speak louder than excuses? Because silence is also how you reclaim power after a setback, not by broadcasting your comeback before it's ready, but by retreating, re-strategizing, rebuilding in quiet. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them write you off, but when you return, speak with results, speak with execution, speak with the kind of confidence that doesn't need validation. The market doesn't reward noise, it rewards clarity. Precision, strength under pressure, and strength is never desperate. It never flinches. It sits in silence, watches, calculates, and strikes only when it matters most. And here's the kicker. If you want your team, your clients, your investors to take you seriously, then stop talking all the time. Stop narrating every move, show them, deliver, execute. Then when you do speak, your words will carry weight, not because of volume, but because of credibility. Silence teaches you to listen, not just to people, but to yourself. It's in the stillness where your best ideas are born, where strategy sharpens, where intuition kicks in. And when you lead from that place, your business isn't reactive. It's intentional, focused, dangerous. So yes, learn to speak well, learn to sell, learn to pitch, but above all, learn to pause, learn to wait. Learn to hold a moment with nothing but your presence and let that be enough. Because in 2025, the market will be louder than ever. Everyone will be shouting, everyone will be pitching, everyone will be trying to be seen, but the real ones, the ones who build million-dollar enterprises, they'll walk into rooms, say little, but mean everything. There's a reason why some people hustle endlessly and still stay stuck, while others build legacies that stretch beyond industries, beyond countries, beyond time. It's not the hours. It's not even the grind. It's the thinking. It's how they approach problems, how they handle pressure, how they lead. You want to build $1 million business in 2025. Then stop thinking like a hustler and start thinking like a leader. The difference is simple. Hustlers focus on doing. Leaders focus on direction. Hustlers chase results. Leaders create systems. Hustlers work in the business. Leaders work on the business. Most people are so busy running, they forget to ask where they're going. They fall in love with motion and confuse it with progress. But movement without direction is noise. It looks good on social media, but it doesn't build anything sustainable. Leadership thinking, on the other hand, is about alignment. It's about knowing why you're doing what you're doing and building systems that don't need you to function. Leadership starts with vision, not hope, not vibes, vision, clarity on the destination, the ability to stand in 2025 and build from the end backward. That's the first separation. A leader doesn't guess. They design. They don't follow the market. They anticipate it. They don't chase customers. They attract them by solving problems the market doesn't even know it has yet. But vision without execution is hallucination. So the next layer is structure. A real leader thinks in models, not moments. They think in teams, not tasks. They're not trying to do everything themselves. They're building infrastructure, hiring, outsourcing, systemizing, not because they're lazy, but because they understand scale requires release. You cannot hold on to everything and expect exponential growth. Leadership thinking is also about emotional mastery, the ability to stay calm in chaos, to hold tension without reacting. Anyone can celebrate when things are working, anyone can post wins, but leadership shows up in the middle of failure. When the deal collapses, when the numbers dip, when the team doubts, that's where leaders don't just manage emotions, they manage meaning. You want to lead, learn to control the narrative in the storm. Not lie, not sugarcoat, but create perspective. Teams follow clarity, they follow certainty, even when it's tough, especially when it's tough, and that's where most break. They think leadership is about being the loudest. No, leadership is about being the clearest. Let's go deeper. Leadership thinking doesn't just build teams, it builds leaders. The mark of a real entrepreneur is not how much money they make, but how many other leaders they create in the process. If your team needs you for every decision, then you haven't built a business. You've built a bottleneck. Real leadership multiplies itself. It trains, it coaches, it elevates others. And don't confuse leadership with popularity. Sometimes you'll be disliked, misunderstood, criticized. That comes with the weight of the role, because leadership is lonely. But not because no one is around. It's lonely because no one else carries what you carry. They see the result. They don't feel the pressure. But a leader doesn't fold. They don't complain. They make decisions, not excuses. Here's the key. The higher you go, the more your thinking matters. When you're starting, effort gets you forward. But once you're moving, only insight can take you higher. And that insight doesn't come from working more. It comes from thinking better, from asking different questions, from stepping back to see the bigger picture. That's how million-dollar decisions are made. So ask yourself, are you reacting or are you leading? Are you chasing money or building a machine that produces it? Are you solving problems for the week or architecting systems for the decade? Because 2025 won't reward those who work the hardest. It will reward those who think the sharpest, those who can see around corners. Those who move with precision, not fast, accurate. Words are not just tools, they are weapons. They build, they destroy, they inspire, they paralyze, and in the hands of someone with vision, words can shift economies, ignite teams, close deals, and change lives. You want to build $1 million business in 2025, then start by mastering your words, because before anyone buys your product, they're buying your belief. Before they buy your system, they're buying your certainty. And your words are the first transaction. But most people don't understand the power of what they say. They speak casually, carelessly. They describe their goals in soft language. They speak about their challenges like they're stuck in them. They project their fears into the marketplace and wonder why no one follows. What you say about your business becomes what others believe about your business. You say you're trying, they hear uncertain. You say hopefully, they hear not ready. You say one day, they hear never. Language is not innocent. Every sentence either uplifts your brand or weighs it down. Every pitch either energizes or exhausts. Every post, every reply, every meeting. It's all communication, and the person with the clearest, most empowering voice wins. Don't speak like you're surviving. Speak like you're leading. Speak like someone who knows where they're going. People are not inspired by hesitation. They're drawn to direction, and that direction must be loud in your language. So stop saying, we're small but. Stop saying, we're just starting out. Stop apologizing for your ambition. Own your lane. Speak with the authority of someone who understands that what they're building is necessary, not optional. Because here's the truth. Words set the culture, internally and externally. If your team hears you speak doubt, they inherit doubt. If your clients hear you speak limits, they mirror it back. But when you speak possibility, when you speak with strength, when you name what's possible even in the face of pressure, that energy multiplies, and that's what makes people move. I've sat in rooms with founders who had average products but unstoppable words. They made people believe. They sold vision, not features, and I've sat with others who had incredible solutions but spoke like victims, soft, afraid, unsure. Guess which ones raised capital. Guess which ones built momentum. Your words are the thermostat for your environment, not a thermometer. A thermometer reports the temperature. A thermostat sets it. So when you speak, are you reflecting reality, or are you creating it? In 2025, you will compete in the noisiest market we've ever seen. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a product. Everyone is disrupting. The only thing that cuts through, words that uplift, words that stand taller. Words that don't blend in, and I don't mean hype, I don't mean faking it. I mean choosing language that aligns with leadership. Words that move people from I don't know to let's go. Words that communicate belief without arrogance, confidence without ego, clarity without fluff. Speak to the version of people they want to become. Don't sell them your process. Sell them their transformation. Don't tell them what your product does. Show them what it means to them. You don't win by explaining. You win by connecting, and the connection happens in the space between your words and their dreams. This is how you close clients. This is how you build culture. This is how you grow a tribe, not by shouting louder, but by speaking better. Every time you talk about your business, remember this. You are either building it or breaking it down. So speak like a builder. Speak like a leader. Speak like someone who knows that their voice is their most valuable currency. Because long before the million shows up in your account, it will show up in your mouth. Before the deal is signed, it is spoken into existence. Before the brand is trusted, it is believed, and belief is built by words. So clean your vocabulary, remove the weak phrases, kill the excuses, retire the self-doubt, and speak only in the language of momentum, mastery, and movement. Because that's the language of leaders. And in 2025, the market won't wait for you to catch up. It will only respond to the ones who speak, as if the future is already theirs.